half a minute, and then we will start.
This is more inclusive because people can really see people, and you know who's there.
Yes, we're about to change that though. So
How many people, do we know how many people are on?
There are 19.
Yeah, I'm glad your mom's feeling better.
Thank you.
But Don and Shira, don't you like it that there is some action? You can see who is in the audience, like, or in the congregation, rather than looking at links.
to know that you're all there, but we've kind of figured out that you're there. So whatever happens, well, as you said, just we'll make it work. So folks, we're going to mute everybody. We wish you all a Shabbat Shalom, and we're going to start the service now. At the end, we will unmute it again and not end the meeting. So you can hang around and talk to whomever you want. We've had people complaining about the brownies the last couple of weeks, that they weren't that good, but really not much we can do about it. Oh, here it is. Is this, no, where's mine was over, no, Ima handed it to you, right? There, right. Okay, so you muted? Okay, and can you move it so we can see us? So, thank you.
Oh, candles.
Okay.
Just one quick 2 seconds.
One quick technical thing which is happening here between, I assume, Noah and Brian. Yes.
I thought I could control that. Okay, I don't control that. That's okay.
Okay.
Great.
All right. Hi, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. Last Friday, Shira and I were in the sanctuary at Temple Rodeph Torah. As we told you at the end of the service, that's not something that we can do right now because of the need to stay in one place and not move. And so our service is now coming to you from our den. And we are happy to be here with you in this way. It's good to see who's online. It helps us a little bit. And we're going to start in just a moment. Cheers. Okay, so we have candles and Shira. If you would, please. And you know, this may be harder than it's been in past weeks. Please think about your week and find something good. Find something that was good in it. A wonderful time in person, online, a new discovery, something that you found in your reading, in your browsing, whatever it might be. I saw somebody online that asked if there was another application like YouTube because he really likes it, but he got to the end of it. And so whatever it may have been, think of something good. If you have someone to share it with them. If you don't, then just think for a minute about what was good and taste it one more time, enjoy it one more time before we let it go.
So at the beginning of this saga, we thought that singing Hine Matov was a little bit counterproductive because we weren't sitting all together. It wasn't that we were all one. But I think over the past several weeks, and certainly seeing you on the screen, Hine Matov is really appropriate because we had to try harder to get together. We had to try harder to be together, but it worked. So please turn to page 128. We're singing Ilana Arian's Hine Matov. Hine Matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Once again, Hine Matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. How good it is.
How good it is.
How sweet it is.
How sweet it is
to be together on this day. How good it is.
How good it is.
How sweet it is.
How sweet it is
to be together on this day. Shalom Aleichem, Salam Aleikum. Shalom Aleichem, Salam Aleikum. Shalom Aleichem, Salam Aleikum. Shalom Aleichem, Salam Aleikum. How good it is.
How good it is.
How sweet it is.
How sweet it is
to be together on this day. How good it is.
How good it is.
How sweet it is.
How sweet it is
to be together on this day. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. For those of you with books, we're turning to page 647 for Ose Shalom. And we're going to do the Yoel Sykes version. I'm waiting for them to turn.
Thank you. And by the way, for those of you who don't have books, drop us a line, an email, whatever it might be, a text message. We'll arrange to get you a book, or we'll arrange for you to pick up books. So please, we sanitize them. They're all
In plastic?
in plastic, wrapped and ready for you. So we will make it happen. If you'd like a book, we'll be doing this for at least a couple more weeks. So just let us know.
Asem shalom bimromav, hu ya'asa shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'yimru, amen. Osem shalom bimromav, hu ya'asa shalom aleinu, ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל יושבי תבל, ואמרו אמן. יאללה יאללה לילה, יאללה לילה לילה, יאללה לילה לילה, יאללה לילה לילה, יאללה לילה לילה, עושה שלום ממרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו, ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל יושבי תבל, ואמרו אמן. Because we wanted to make this light, we're going to turn to page 644. If any of you have ever flown to Israel on El Al, as you start to come to final descent, as you enter Tel Aviv and go toward Ben Gurion, this comes on the overhead. Yevenu Shalom Aleichem, let us bring you peace. Yevenu Shalom Aleichem, Yevenu Shalom Aleichem, Yevenu Shalom Aleichem, Yevenu Shalom, Shalom, Shalom Aleichem, Yevenu Shalom Aleichem, Yevenu Shalom Aleichem, Yevenu Shalom Aleichem, Yevenu Shalom, Shalom, Shalom Aleichem.
And now we welcome Shabbat. We welcome Shabbat into, actually, this is one of the cool things about this way of doing things, that we don't simply welcome Shabbat into this place. We are right now going to welcome Shabbat into every place where each one of you is. And so if you have candles, please join us in lighting them and saying the bracha. If you don't have candles, then allow our candles to be yours. I don't think that shows up on the screen, so we're going to, actually, you know what? We're going to put them right over here. There we go. We can do that for now.
Wow. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. 121 and 120.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. Fine.
This will not work.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu להדליק נר של שבת.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat. This is Shabbat Pesach. This is the time that our ancestors first celebrated Shabbat. This was their first Shabbat in freedom. And one of the great gifts that Judaism has given to the entire world, not just Jews, is the idea that every human being deserves a Shabbat. Every human being deserves a day off. Every animal deserves a Shabbat. Every animal deserves a day off. Plants work on a different cycle, but they get a Shabbat every 7th year, because all of God's creations are meant for more than simply labor. We're meant to enjoy life. And so I'd like you to think back to that first Shabbat, a group of ragtag people running away from Pharaoh, baking bread on hot rocks, picking up that hard, flat stuff and jamming it into whatever they're carrying with them so they have it with them. Our first taste of freedom, our first chance to take a breath and relax. So let's each take a little time right now to savor freedom. Even under these trying circumstances, nowhere near as trying as our ancestors as they left Egypt. But let's think about how beautiful it is to savor Shabbat. We turn to page 146 as we thank God, as we praise God for everything. If you're able, please rise.
No? Yeah. I realized that was a good thing.
Baruch hu et Adonai HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, Le'olam va'ed.
148. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzvaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch Ata Adonai, Ha'ma'ariv Agavim.
We continue on page 150. Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amacha Torah u'mitzvot Chukim u'mishpatim Otanu limaduta Al ken Adonai Eloheinu V'shomreinu uv'kumeinu Nasiha Lechukecha V'nismach b'divrei Toratecha ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. אהבת עולם בית ישראל עמך אהבת. תורה ומצוות חוקים ומשפטים אותנו לימדת, כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נתן יומם ולילה.
ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. We continue in the Hebrew on page 152. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, 54. B'chol לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך ושיננתם לבבך ודיברתם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
157. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together.
מי כמוך בעלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסיף אליך. מלכותך ראו בניך בוקע, גם לפני משה ומרים. זה אלי, זה אלי, אנו ועמו, אדוני Yimlo le'olam va'ed.
Thus it is said, Adonai redeemed Jacob from a hand stronger than his own. Praised are you, Adonai, for redeeming Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael.
On page 161 and on 160, we pray the evening prayer as we lie down in peace. We pray that God is going to be there to take care of us. We'll start with the English, let there be love, and continue with the Hashkivenu. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu, leshalom. Vehamidenu, shomrenu lechayim. Ufros aleinu, sukat shlomecha. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu, leshalom. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm.
I'd like to talk to you for a minute about impossible dreams that come true. We're in the middle of Pesach now. For 400 years, our ancestors were slaves in Egypt. I can't even imagine to go through generation after generation of slavery and to think, to dream, to hope that one day we would be free. An impossible dream. It couldn't happen, but it did. For us, most of us were born or came to consciousness after 1948. For 2,000 years, we Jews prayed to be restored to Israel, to Jerusalem. 2,000 years. Impossible dream. And yet we never stopped praying for it. And in 1948, Israel became a country. And we can, other than right now, hop on an airplane, have a couple of bad meals, watch some bad movies, and be in Israel. An impossible dream that came true. So right now, as we wonder when it will be that we can be back together again, it seems like it's going to be forever. But it's a dream that's going to come true. We will be together. And there's this beautiful prayer that I've been reading by my colleague, Rabbi Jeff Salkin, which is indeed a prayer for return. And so I read this for all of us. Adat hamakom va'adat hakahal, with the knowledge of the one who is in all places, and with the knowledge of this holy community, we declare with full voice and with full heart, we are in the in-between moments. We are in the in-between moment of being in our sacred spaces, our spaces that are the descendants of the ancient Mishkan, and our private spaces, in which some of us dwell alone, and in which some of us dwell with our closest others. This is temporary, this isolation we feel. And may God heal our isolation. May God hear the anguished voices of those who are truly alone and lonely. We commit ourselves anew, that once we, through our wisdom, are able to lift the veil of fear, we will redeem ourselves from our solitude and rejoin each other in sacred community. That we will go from merely holding hearts to once again holding hands, that our embraces will journey back from the virtual to the real. Even as our prayers and songs go out into the cloud, let us resolve, in the words of Nehemiah, we shall not abandon this house of God. Our houses of God and Israel and Torah are still our houses and still our homes. They are here to sustain us and inspire us, to give shape to our lives, to give depth to our hopes, to give us water to quench our anguish. We will return to them, Nashuva, and we promise to continue to sustain them and to honor them for what they must continue to be. This is temporary. Od Yishama, yet again shall the voices of children and adults be heard in our sanctuaries. As our ancestors did, we shall return. And so we turn now to the Amidah, the prayers that were instituted when the temple was destroyed, when we thought there was no hope of going back, and yet the Amidah itself is filled with prayers of hope for going back. Page 164 and the even number pages, and please rise if you are able.
Adonai, Sevatai Tifta, Ufi Yagi, Tehilataha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hadibor V'Hanora, El Hayom, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'Koneh Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imahot, U'Mevii Geula Livnei Bneihem, L'ma'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Hoseh Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Be'ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, B'chayei hakol atah Rav leHoshia, Moshir HaRuach, Morid HaKashem, Mechalkel HaChayim b'chesed, Mechayei hakol b'rachamim habim, Somech noflim, V'rofech holim, U'matir asutim, U'mekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Michamocha ba'al gevurot, U'mito me'elav, Melech memit u'mechayeh, U'matzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman ata l'chayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol.
You are holy. Your name is holy. And those who are holy praise you every day. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
We continue with this beautiful duet for a number of different voices that Beth Schaefer wrote, who I love to call a Jersey girl because she actually grew up in Manalapan. Atah Kadosh, which we often do on the holidays as well. Atah Kadosh, v'shimcha Kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom, yehalllucha sena. Atah Kadosh, v'shimcha Kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom, yehalllucha sena. You are holy, your name is holy, and those who strive to be holy spread your glory day by day. You are holy, your name is holy, and those who strive to be holy bless your glory day by day. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh, Ha'el HaKadosh. Kadosh. Amen.
173. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mikadesh HaShabbat. On 174, a special bracha for Pesach in the middle of the reading. Find favor, Adonai our God, with your people Israel, and accept their prayer in love. May the worship of your people Israel always be acceptable. God, who is near to all who call, turn lovingly to your servants. Pour out your spirit upon us. Our God and God of our fathers and mothers, on this day of Pesach, be mindful of us and all your people Israel, for good, for love, for compassion, life, and peace. Remember us for well-being.
Amen.
Visit us with blessing.
Amen.
Help us to a fuller life.
Amen.
Let our eyes behold your loving return to Zion. Blessed are you, Adonai, whose presence returns to Zion. Baruch atah Adonai, hamachazir shechinato letzion.
Amen.
177. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha, ulecha na'eh lehodot.
We continue with Shalom Hav on the top of page 178. Shalom Hav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Hav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Ki atahu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech Adon lechol hashalom. V'tabinecha levarech et amcha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך.
We now pray silently. Words in the prayer book, words of our favorite prayer, words that are in our hearts.
Continue with Yiyu Levatzon, which you can find on page 180. Imrefi, Vegyo ליבי. יהיו לרצון אמרי ואתון, ליבי לפניך. אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי וגואלי, אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי וגואלי. Go inside your heart, just be. Go inside your heart and see where it wants, what it needs, what it yearns when you breathe. Go inside your heart and see. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be kind, be true, may they be acceptable to you, oh my rock, my rock, and my redeemer. Ooh, ooh, ooh,
We turn now to our prayer for healing. And before we take a minute to think of our own loved ones, we take this time to think of all those who are ill from the coronavirus, from every other reason that they've gotten caught up in the healthcare system right now. We add our prayers of healing for every doctor, every nurse, every orderly, every first responder, every supermarket worker, every delivery person, every person who is not staying home, not out of ego, but out of compassion for others, or out of the need to put food on their own table for their families and for themselves. And so we pray for healing, for physical health. We pray for a release from fear. We pray from a release from this which is scaring all of us. And so we take all of them into our hearts along with our own loved ones. And we ask God for healing for them. And now please take the time to think of your own loved ones whose healing you are praying for. Even if you're sitting alone or with someone else, say their names aloud and make them part of our prayer.
Mishabach Avotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak, v'Yaakov. Mishabach Imotenu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, v'Rachel. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer, 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 and bless us as well. Bless us with the power of your healing. Bless us with the power of your hope. May our hearts be filled with understanding and strengthened by the power of your love. Mishabach Avotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak, v'Yaakov. Mishabach Imotenu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, v'Rachel. May the one who blessed our mothers, May the one who blessed our fathers hear our prayer.
Hear our prayer.
Hear our
Hear our
prayer.
prayer.
Hear our prayer.
Hear our prayer.
Hear our prayer and bless us as well. Bless us with a vision for tomorrow. Help us to reach out to those in pain. May the warmth of friendship ease our sorrow. Give us courage, give us strength, show us the way. Mishaberach Avoteinu. Mishaberach Imoteinu. Hear our prayer.
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 And bless us as
well.
last week, actually the last several weeks, I've spoken to you about very heavy duty topics because this is a very heavy duty time. But this is Shabbat in the middle of Pesach. And just as our ancestors have spent the time up till now running, a lot of us have spent the time figuring out brand new things, whole new way of life we didn't even know existed. So I thought we would do something a lot more gentle today. And to begin it, I want to share with you what is absolutely one of my favorite readings in this entire book. We do it on Shabbat mornings. Our B'nai Mitzvah do this, and I love it. It's adopted from Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, who created a beautiful little book called The Sabbath. And he speaks of Shabbat as an island in time. That time goes by, but on Shabbat there's a little island where we get to stop drifting through time and pull up on dry land and sit and just appreciate where we are. So if you have your books, it's on page 329 at the bottom of the page. And as you think about where we are right now, each of us trapped in a place, in a certain space, this takes on new meaning. The meaning of Shabbat is to celebrate time rather than space. 6 days a week, we live under the tyranny of things of space. On Shabbat, we try to become attuned to holiness in time. It is a day on which we are called upon to share in what is eternal in time, to turn from the results of creation to the mystery of creation, from the world of creation to the creation of the world. You know, we are most certainly right now under the tyranny of space. We have all voluntarily accepted this tyranny because it is the way for us to come out the other side. So this tyranny of sheltering in place is a benevolent tyranny because it leads to good, not to evil. Please God. But I've noticed something in my conversations with a lot of people over these past weeks. And that is that this crisis is shifting our values, and it's shifting them for the better. Not that I would wish this on anyone. I am radically against someone saying that God is doing this to teach us a lesson, because this is a sick way to teach a lesson. But nonetheless, we are learning things. Because if I had asked people, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, what's your fondest wish? You could wish for anything other than those 3 wishes that you wish for. People would have said things because they did, like, I wish for a round the world trip. I wish for a new car. I wish for a new whatever. Turns out that new isn't nearly everything it was cracked up to be. When I talk to people now and I say, what do you want when this is over? They say things like, I want to go to the grave of my cousin because I wasn't allowed to go to her funeral. They say, I want to have a family reunion. for no reason at all. I just want to get everybody together in one room. And I want not to social distance from them. I want to hug them. I want to hold them. I want to kiss them. I want to take their hand in mine and talk about everything and nothing at all. I want to go out to a park with my friends. I want to go to the beach with my friends, or just with the other 100,000 people that show up at Point Pleasant or wherever it is. Just hang out in the sunshine and go in the water. I want to celebrate my child's graduation that I'm not going to get to celebrate. I want to see my newborn grandchild. Our priorities have changed. Our values have changed. And this could work out to our benefit, because we have finally seen that what things cost is not in any way a measure of their worth. That when we talk about priceless, we actually mean beyond anything we could put a price upon. To get together with our children, everyone together in one room. To get together with the Weber family circle, the whole crazy group. To get together with our Rodeph Torah community. God, to see you in person. To wish you a Shabbat Shalom, not from across a Zoom, but in person. To study together with our students. To share together with our support groups. To pray together. To repair the world together. My God, none of that costs anything. And yet, if I were to ask most people right now, what is your fondest wish? What do you want to do most when this is over? When there's a worldwide Ali oxen free. And everybody gets to burst out of our houses into the street. I want to see if my neighbors will still talk to us. Because they've been talking to us these last couple of weeks. It's been fantastic.
From 20 feet.
From 20 feet away. But we go for a walk and they say hi. They never said hi before. We walked the neighborhood for 36 years. They never said hi. Now they do. I want to go out and see them again. I want to ask the parents what it's like to have their kids back in school. I want to ask people what it's like to go to work again, see our colleagues. We'll get back to vacations and cars and all of that stuff. But I hope not right away. So today, as we make this island in time, this little tropical paradise where we get to escape the worry for just a little while, I'd ask you all to think. If there's someone there for you to share it with them. If not, think for yourself, and then maybe have this conversation on the phone or online with family, with friends. Not on social media. Don't simply post and go, what's going to be your thing? That's not a relationship. Call someone up. Say, so when this is all done, what do you want to do? What's your goal? What's your dream? And if it's to see you, then good. What are we going to do together? My thought could be a fancy restaurant. Could be takeout. Could be anything at all as long as we're together. So my Shabbat wish for you right now is that we each take this time and think about what we really value the most. What we want to do when that global or countrywide or statewide or community-wide Ali oxen free happens. And we're allowed to go out without that worry again. So please, I'm just going to give you a little quiet time. Think about what you want to do most. what you wish for, what you value.
Page, okay. So on page 652, I'm going to read you the English on page 653 because this song truly talks about dreams coming true. Next year, we will sit on the porch and count migrating birds. Children on vacation will play catch between the house and the fields. You will see yet how good it will be next year. Red grapes will ripen till the evening and will be served chilled to the table. And lazy winds will carry to the crossroads old newspapers like a cloud. Next year, we will spread our own hands toward the radiant light. A white heron will spread her wings in the light as the sun shines through them. Page 652, bottom song, Bashana Haba'a. Bashana Haba'a, neshab al hamirkasset, v'nisbor tziporim nodedot, ילדים בחופשה, ישחקו תופסת בין הבית לבין השדות. עוד תראה כמה טוב יהיה עוד בשנה הבאה. עוד תראה כמה טוב יהיה בשנה הבאה. ענבים אדומים יבשילו על הערב ויוגשו צוננים לשולחן, ורוחות רדומים ייסעו אל הדרך, עיתונים ישנים כנתן. עוד תראה כמה טוב יהיה בשנה הבאה. עוד תראה כמה טוב יהיה בשנה הבאה. בשנה הבאה נפרוס כפו ידיים מול האור הנגלה הלבן. ענפה לבנה תפרוס באור כנפיים, והשמש תזרח בתוכן. עוד תראה כמה טוב יהיה בשנה הבאה. עוד תראה כמה טוב יהיה בשנה הבאה.
A couple of announcements to share with everybody. Tomorrow morning, our Shabbat morning minyan will be at 10 o'clock on Zoom. I believe it's trt.org/Saturday. And that should take you right there. It is a Zoom call, so we hope you'll join us. On Tuesday evening, we will have a service for Seventh Day Pesach and Yizkor. This is one of the 5 times a year that we're commanded to remember our loved ones who have died. This will be a very unusual one because no one else but us has a Yizkor book in front of you. And so we will adapt the service to make it doable even when you don't have a book in front of you. Next Friday, right back here at 6:30. And again, if you would like a Sidur or 2 Sidurim or 5 or whatever you have in your house, drop us, either of us, a note and we'll arrange for you to get it. It will be easier for you. And I think it may help if you're good with what's going on, that's fine. Shira and Tamima Grinvold, our president, and I each will have office hours, which are really not so much office hours as sort of a coffee clutch. Drop by. We each have an hour starting next week. The information is all on the TRT webpage, which is just trt.org. And you can see it there. It's, again, a Zoom meeting. Just click on the link. There's nothing else you need to do. And, drop in for the whole hour, drop in for 5 minutes to say hi. We'd love to see you and schmooze with you about anything you'd like. And on that, please remember that we are here for you. that all of us are here for you. The whole community is here for you. If you want to talk, we're here. Drop us a note and say, hey, not for office hours, this is private, can we talk? And we'll arrange a time, either just to talk on the phone, or we'll set up a Zoom call, and again, just click on the link and we can speak more or less face to face. If you need something, if you're unable to get out, if there's something you need, we have people who have offered to help, but we can't do that unless we know that you need something. So please, our community, we're trying to reach out to all of you. You should have heard from somebody from our congregation. If you have not heard from someone from our congregation and you're a member of the community, please tell us, because we want to be sure. We might not have the right phone number for you, something like that. Write to any of us and say, hey, I haven't heard, and give us your contact information. We'll be sure to stay in touch with you, but we are here for you. And on that note, I had one last thing, and we do not usually do this on Shabbat, but I want to appeal to you. I am so proud of the Rodeph Torah congregation and community. Before there was ever even talk of an economic bailout, our leadership decided that we were not going to abandon the people who work for us, who've been loyal to us and faithful to us for years, in many cases for decades. And so their salaries have been continued. Our teachers, our custodians, our office staff, all these people depend on us and we depend on them. And at the same time, a number of our members have been hit very, very hard by what's going on, by the changes in the economy. And we're not turning them away either. There is nobody who will be told that if you can't afford it, you have to leave TRT. It will never, ever happen. So if you are in a position where you are financially stable, even if your investments are not doing the best they've ever done, I hope that you would consider making a contribution right now to TRT. This is not a quid pro quo for the service or anything, but if you're trying to think of where I could do some good, we're trying to do good. And you can do this online, trt.org/donate. If you can, we would help you. And if you need help, we would appreciate your help. If you can help us, that would be great. If we can help you, we'd like that. So please, one way or another, let's support each other through all of this. I thank you. And pardon me for the commercial on Shabbat. We turn now to Kaddish on page 629, right? Wrong book.
591.
598.
Yeah.
598. I'm sorry. That was
Yeah.
actually
The gates of
Gates
prayer.
of Prayer.
Wow.
Okay.
Flashback.
So yes, that's one of those weird things. Where did my book go?
Right here.
Okay. Yes, funny how things just don't ever leave you.
598.
598. And before we join together in Kaddish, we think of our loved ones and our community members who have died. We remember Carol Rosenblum, the cousin of Marge Stevens, whose Shiva we observe this week. And we remember those whose Shloshim we observe. Norman Hertzberg, the father of Ed Hertzberg, and Leo Sokow, the father of Bernie Sokow. And we remember those whose yahrzeits occurred during this week. Joseph Axelrad, the father of Phyllis Levenstein. Sidney Schwitz, the father of Mark Schwitz. Saul Weber, my father. Joseph Caruso, the brother of Lawrence Caruso. Sheila Silverman, the mother of Jody Zukoff. Aaron Wagner, the father of Lisa Schwartz. Minnie Weiss, grandmother of Michael Kaplan. Manny Bruto, the uncle of Cheryl Glasser. Lucille Shire Weiniger, the sister of Sophie Weitz. Julie Weiniger, the brother-in-law of Sophie Weitz. Joseph Weingold, the father of David Weingold. Roberta Rosen, the husband of Anita Rosenbronfeld, the father of Larry Rosen. And Ellen Burrell, the wife of Steve Burrell and member of Temple Rodeph Torah. And to these names, we add the names that each of us holds in our hearts. And we remember those who at this time have no one to say Kaddish for them. So if you are able, please rise. Yitgadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah, Ba'alma divrach kirute v'yamlich malchute. B'chayechon uv'yomechon u'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uv'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehi shemei rabba mevarach la'alam olamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudshah b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechemata da'miran be'alma v'yimru amen. Yehi shulama rabba min shmaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel and to all the world, to which we say,
Amen.
Amen.
Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimeru. Amen.
Our concluding song.
So if there are those of you who saw Howie Gandelman on the top of his roof telling us all to stay home and sanitizing the lintels of his house with Clorox wipes, this is actually in honor of Moses, namely Howie Gandelman, who was also Moses last week for Tat Shabbat. We're going to be singing Let My People Go on page 665. When Israel was in Egypt's land, let my people go. Oppressed so hard they could not stand, let my people go. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt's land. Tell old Pharaoh to let my people go. Thus saith the Lord, bold Moses said, let my people go. If not, I'll smite your firstborn dead. Let my people go. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt land. Tell old Pharaoh to let my people go. No more shall they in bondage toil. Let my people go. Let them come out with Egypt's spoil. Let my people go. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt's land. Tell old Pharaoh, let my people go.
Shira and I thank you. Thank you for joining us in our house. Thank you for inviting us into your house. We are going to leave this meeting live and unmute everybody so you can talk, schmooze, whatever. We wish you a sweet Pesach, a healthy Pesach. We wish you Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Are we unmute? Are we on?
Okay, everybody, you are unmuted.
Thank you, Brian. I want to thank Brian for everything in Shabbat Shalom and have a good Pesach.
Hi, I had to move to a different room to unmute. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Brian.
He asked me today